Hello, this is the Commercial Landscaper Podcast with Robert Clinkenbeard. This show will transform your leadership by developing all areas of your life, business, family, personal and health. Only by fine-tuning yourself will you truly operate at a highly functioning leader. Super excited today to announce that we're just surpassed the 100th edition of the Commercial Landscaper Show, and we're going to see better things from us this year. We're going to be introducing some education, courses in leadership and sales that you could apply and join and try to improve yourself. So hopefully you can join us in some of these courses and reach out if you want to hear some new guests. This is all about bettering you, bettering your business, and make you function at a super high level. Thanks again, everyone. Cheers. Hi, this is Robert Clinkenbeard with the Commercial Landscaper Podcast. I'm really excited to be joined by a good friend, one of the industry leaders, Brett Gordon. Brett, welcome to the show today.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. Thanks for having me on.
No worries. So, Brett, tell. I've got some audience here from all over the US, Canada, Europe, Australia. It's probably 5,000-6,000 listeners, and they'd love to hear your story and why we're on the call today.
Yeah, well, I grew up enjoying playing golf and being outdoors, and that led me to getting a landscape architecture degree, and I practiced that for a couple of years in a firm setting, and I realized that wasn't where I was supposed to be, and I had a family member that was doing commercial landscape maintenance. So we connected, and I went and worked for his company for 5 years. And it was a great 5 years. And at the end of that, I realized that I thought I could do it myself. And so we had a good discussion, and I went on and started my own company. I acquired a small company of 10 or 12 employees, maybe about $600,000 of revenue, just enough to keep me out of the field trying to service customers, and allowed me to be a professional, be clean and ready to go to take customer calls and service people. And then we built it from there. So we're in our 8th year now, 8.5 years in, and we'll do about $12 million this year. So it's been a good 8 years.
That's impressive. I mean, to have that amount of growth in 8.5 years is tremendous. I love, there's some statistic out there saying that 95% of companies struggle to even get over 1 million. And here you are, approaching 12 million in 8.5 years. So nice job with that.
Well, it was a hard push for the first 3. A lot of hard work, a lot of hours, and a lot of stress to power through some of those hurdles, those early hurdles, to try to get on the other side. But once you get over a hump, you get some good people around you, and you get some other strong employees that can help carry the burden, and it lightens up a little bit.
Cool. Yeah, I want to dive into a couple of things today. We'll talk a little bit about that work-life balance, because I know you've got a young family. I want to talk about systems, procedures, because not only am I around a bunch of other landscape professionals who are striving to get to that, over 10 million, but even people outside of the industry, they're very attracted to the landscape industry because of that recurring revenue. So let's dive into that a little bit. But first of all, explain me. You talked about a family member being part of the business, but I know they've helped you a little bit. I know you're involved in the Bruce Wilson peer group network as well. What is the importance of having some experts, some mentors, coaches, whatever you want to call them, around you as you're going through that rapid growth?
Well, from the beginning, I did have a family member, an uncle that I could lean on. And eventually I got connected in Bruce Wilson peer groups. But early on, there was one moment in time where I did $1.5 million, and fielded every customer phone call. And that was 8 years ago. So that's probably the equivalent of close to maybe 1.8 or $2 million now, where I fielded every customer phone call, ran every mower to the shop to get repaired, built every bid, every new sales bid, every enhancement bid. And I was drowning. And we still, at that time, our company was netting $120,000, and we were still struggling to make payroll even at that. And I was drowning. And I had the opportunity to call someone that knows the business and ask them about how do I hire somebody? How do I bring someone on when I don't feel like I have the money to do it? And he said, if you hire the right person, they'll produce their own revenue. So you can't look at your current financial situation. You're going to have to take a leap of faith and make a move and try to hire the right person. And if it's the right one, they'll pay for themselves and they'll produce their own revenue. So you can't look at last year's financial situation as a predictor for next year in that regard. And so I trusted him, and I made that move to hire somebody. And it was the first step into continuing to be able to grow and give me a little bit of a relief. I didn't get full relief then, but I got some relief, and the advice was spot on. They did, and it was never a struggle to pay them. If anything, it was easier.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I hear that from several people that, they really struggle with, they look at their profit and loss and they think, well, can I really afford this person? And you're right. They'll either end up bringing accounts with them, or it's maybe they're selling more enhancement work, but yeah, they'll usually pay for themselves pretty quickly. So that's great.
So that was a wall. That was a hurdle, right? That I was scared of, that being connected with somebody, whether it's in a peer group or a family member, to encourage you is very helpful and quite necessary.
Yeah. So, you talked about how hard it was. You're working probably 12, 15 plus hours a day. You were out in the field. You were pretty much doing fielding everything. I suspect these days you've got a little bit better work-life balance in terms of making sure the company's running well. You're spending time with your young family. How have you transitioned into that role, and what are some of the key things that you've done?
Well, I would say I was forced into it, and now I was personally forced into it, and now it's a passion of mine for the rest of our employees. I pushed too hard for too long and developed some severe anxiety, chronic stress, and it began to impact my family and my relationship with my wife. And it got bad enough that I was forced to have to figure out how to step away. I was not able to deal with it. So I did something. I had to show myself that this thing could go without me working all the hours and all the stress. So I started leaving at 3:00. I did that for 30 days. I left at 3:00. And that was my way of proving to myself that it could be done. And it forced me to change how I think and how I operate. I always call it, our first tendency is to grab the bull by the horns and just wrestle it harder and grip tighter. That forced me to have to take a step back and think about all the choices, everything I'm doing and how I'm approaching it, to get it done in less time. And my company, all it did was grow even more at going home at 3:00. I'm not saying that that's what you do long term, but that I took 30 days, and that was the 30 days that I needed to prove to myself that we could make this work without me working 12 to 14-hour days. So after that, I took and backed off a healthy amount and decided that I've got to stay between 40 and 50 hours. That was my goal. And so now because I know it can be successful. One of our things in our company is that we believe we can be successful and have a healthy work-life balance. So it's proving that this idea that to be successful, you have to work in excess, showing that that's not the case. So it's kind of a mission of mine to prove that that is the wrong philosophy. Let's work hard in our 8 to 9 hours, give our very best, and then let's be okay with what happens, and whatever happens is what it's going to be, and we have to be all right with that. So now it's a passion of mine to try to make sure I don't have employees that are dealing with the same things I did.
So what are some of the things that you felt as though were the benefits of leaving earlier? I mean, did that put more responsibility onto your key employees, some of your leadership team? Did that almost empower them to make their own decisions and move more into that leadership role when you backed away slightly? So it almost quicken up their learning?
It definitely does. It pushes you to, those are some of those things, these things that maybe as business owners that we believe that we're the only ones that can do, or that we're the only ones that can do it well or at the highest level. Like, those are all lies. That's not true. I mean, I'm sure you're great at your job and I'm sure you're good, but there's a lot of other people that are also good at their job. And I think you're telling yourself lies if you don't think anybody else can do it as good as you. And you just got to trust them and be okay with them doing it different. Maybe like I became very results oriented. So I quit worrying as much about how it was getting done, but more about what the result was at the end of the day. And that allowed me to take a step back and allow people to have their part of the company and impact it how they're going to, and still control the results that I want to see.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I want to dive into that in a second, but for some of those business owners who are in that $1, $2, $3 million range, they're still in the weeds, they're still working those long hours, they're still stressed, haven't quite made that jump yet. What would be one of the first steps they take in trying to get up to a level where they're working more on the business as you are now?
I think you have to you've got to be a good manager of people. If you can't manage people well and you can't communicate to somebody what your expectations are for them, and then allow them to do that, it's going to be very difficult for you to ever get out of the weeds and work on your business. If you think the customer only wants to see you, then I think it's going to be very difficult for you to ever get out of the business. Those are things that you will forever be stuck. It is impossible to have you in front of every customer all the time. And those are things that you're going to have to come to terms with and start allowing other people to do. I think with that is you need to have a good vision for what you want out of your employees. What's a good employee, so that you can hire the right people and trust them. So those are, to me, it's scary. It is scary to make that move and to allow people to do things. But the only way you're ever going to find out if it's actually possible is to let it happen. And you're just going to have to face the fear. I've said a couple of times that if you think you're the only one that can do it, or you think you're better than everybody, I had that same problem, but I don't think I thought I was better. I think I was just scared. So it's not that it's arrogance. It's just, there's a fear there that something's going to crumble and fall apart. And you're either you got two options. You either got to risk letting it crumble and fall apart, or you got to be stuck in the weeds until you're ready to retire. So you just got to make one of those decisions and then move forward.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there were some issues that came up when you made that transition, but I mean, I'm assuming you then went in there, you helped coach that employee through that challenge and maybe where they failed, and they learned from that and then moved on. And do the better the next time. So to maybe talk about one of the examples of just going through that transition period.
Yeah, there's always the need to walk alongside somebody and not necessarily do it for them, but help them see where they've made mistakes and be okay with mistakes. It's hard to be okay with mistakes, but be looking for people to correct them. Robert, I'm having a hard time coming up with one specific example of where where we did that, right now. But I think I'm very prone to walking along with people and helping them learn and teach them along the way. That's something I enjoy doing. So I do know that happened a lot. So it's not as much doing it for them, showing them how you do it, then letting them do it, and then following up with good correction is key.
Yep. No, that makes sense. I want to just dive into systems and procedures, because I think that's part of the whole process where, when you're switching control then to sort of delegating more of that control to your employees, empowering them to perhaps do that their way, but as long as you're seeing the results. So talk through, when we were at a meeting a few years back, and I was really impressed by some of the systems, procedures you'd built. You'd built this really amazing scorecard that you could monitor how the business was running wherever you were, whether you were in the office, whether you're at the house or vacation. So talk through what led you to that, and now, a few years on, how that's helping you run a great company.
Well, I believe in systems and procedures. I think it's crucial to scaling a company. Systems that are repeatable and that rely on human behavior as little as possible are key. We are accident prone, we're forgetful, and any structure and system we can put in place that takes the need for a human being to remember is a good one. I have a little personal philosophy on why systems are key and how I think about systems, but we've sit in meetings and we've had there's a problem we've had or a chronic problem, and the common solution is, everyone's heard it, is communication. We got to communicate better. And my answer to that is, haven't we all been trying to communicate already? Like, are we just giving ourselves an answer to something that we've already been trying to do? So I like systems where we don't have to communicate. The less we have to communicate, the better. So if it's a communication problem, and I believe we've already tried to communicate, well, we need to do something different. So let's put in a system that is automatic, that we don't have to communicate, whether that's within the operating system you're using, Aspire or Boss or Element, whatever that operating system you're using. Get strategic and creative on how you're navigating that. We use a lot of not paper workflows anymore, but we use a lot of workflows. So one person can't get something done until the next person does it. And there's a good checklist of what every person has to do along the way to make sure, maybe it's to get a contract won and deployed, where we have a quality kickoff with the customer, make sure billing and everything is in order. As a system for all that, where we cannot start a contract in our system until every detail that is important to us is collected. So those are an example. Now we have very strong systems on the production side. That's more of an administrative internal management. But on the production side, out in the field, we do a lot of scorekeeping. We do it for account managers and for production managers and for field staff. We scorekeep everything. So it's a results-driven company, and we track and monitor and keep score. So we monitor our crews estimated versus actual hours. We happen to use Aspire, and we post that each and every day. Crews come in every day and can see it. The report actually updates every 15 seconds. So we can see how they're performing every 15 seconds. And we do a little competition. So the top five Mo crews each quarter get a little bonus. One of the things we switched is we used to give a bonus to every crew that met their hours. And we realized that if we'll make it a competition, now they are driving their own standard. We're not driving the standard for production. Each crew leader is driving the standard. So they're trying to catch one another. So we happen to be a very labor efficient organization because of that. And we coach them to save every minute that they can save on things that don't affect the product, that don't affect the results of the product. So whether that's drive time, whether that's breaks, whether that's out in the morning and back in the evening, those are where we really focus on saving time and pushing them on things that don't affect the result. Account managers, we track enhancements and renewals actively live all the time. So it's on a TV that has their face on it, their picture of them, and they can see those things and they update it. So if they were to develop a bid in Aspire, it shows on their proposed goal. And if they win a bid, it shows on their sold. Within it updates every 15 seconds or something like that. Yeah. Robert, I think you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Two quick questions. If you're managing the hours, becoming really efficient out there, how do you then make sure that the quality to the clients is still there? And then secondly to that, with all these efficiencies and managing the hours, what are some of the benefits to the clients?
Yeah, it's a great question. So in our company, we do not have account managers. We have account managers and production managers. Account managers don't manage any of the crews. They only take care of the customer. So they work for the customer, and to them, the customer is everything. When on they monitor quality and the customer service side. On the other end, we have production managers who manage only the crews, and we incentivize and we emphasize the importance of the customer, but we also put a heavy emphasis on them on driving labor and making sure we're efficient. So if it's a pendulum that swings, what we're trying to do is put two opposing forces. We're trying to put the production who's driving speed and the account manager who's working and looking out for the customer. And we hope and we believe with the two forces coming together that we're going to find the most efficient and quality that we can do. So that's our goal. Our goal as a company is to deliver the very best product for the very best price. So in order for us to do that, we have to monitor both. The benefit to the customer is time is money. If it takes us longer to do it, we have to charge more. The faster we can do it, the less we charge. So the benefit to the customer is if we can be efficient and we can get it done, then we can give better pricing. The customer also needs a certain level of quality. So that's for the account manager to dictate and make sure the account manager is driving the quality that meets the customer's expectations. So in order for us to meet our goals of the best product for the best price, then that's how we've done that. Divide up our management to one group that's priority is speed and efficiency, and the other is quality, rather than I think what a lot of people might put account like one manager that manages both.
Yeah, definitely. There are companies out there that do that, but I love the whole idea about the pendulum. That's how I used to manage my company. They have the account manager look after relationships, quality, and then production look after, the hours, getting stuff done, the speed part. So I love how it's working well for you. And, You obviously use the numbers, the scorecards, the procedures well. And I love your idea about using that, the TV monitor, where it creates that little bit sense of competition. There's a lot of benefits around that as well.
Yeah. It's been a big change in our company, getting that information updated live. We used to do it monthly, and we decided, how do we expect guys to make change getting it monthly? If they can see that yesterday we didn't perform well, what did we do yesterday that wasn't the same as the day before? Did we take an extra break? Did we get out slow? Did we get back slow? And when they can see that they can see it every day, they can now make change on their behavior and improve themselves.
Yeah, I love that. And it's actually true to people who manage through looking at their financials, because they won't get the financial until the middle of the following month. So it's too late to make any type of changes, is what's happened over the last 30, 45 days. So the fact that you're monitoring it, every 15 minutes, looking at it daily, you're tweaking things, I think that's tremendous. So nice job, Brett. Brett, finishing up here, if people want to learn more about you, your company, all the amazing things that you've done to make it a great company out of Oklahoma, what would be the best way for them to contact you?
Well, I'm pretty passionate about the industry, and I'm passionate about all of us helping one another push the industry forward. So I'm happy to visit with anybody that's interested, and probably my email. Reach out to me by email at my email is brett.gordon, brett.gordon at signatureok.com, and just reach out and we can schedule to get on the phone or through email or whatever anybody would like.
Awesome, Brett. Really appreciate your time today. I know you're a busy guy, but thank you for sharing your growth, and really appreciate all your sharing. So have a great day, Brett.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on.
Okay, thank you. That was the Commercial Landscaper podcast, hosted by Robert Clinkenbeard, and I'm the author of the Ironman Mindset for Entrepreneurs. If you want to find out more about the show, you're welcome to go to thecommerciallandscaper.com, or if you want to learn more about courses, education, buying some books, even if you want to just drop a note and suggest a guest, I'd love to hear from you. Again, this is Robert Clinkenbeard, the Commercial Landscaper podcast. Cheers, everyone.